Alright, no coffee today, but Gatorade because I have food poisoning and I feel like trash. That will not stop me from making a video. The only thing that can stop me from making a video is if I were on vacation or I ran out of ideas. Howdy y'all, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys are safe and I hope you guys are healthy. My name is Josh and I absolutely love clothing and personal style. So if you're into that type of content, feel free to subscribe to me here on YouTube as well as follow me on Instagram at where's_Galdo. I'm sure a ton of you guys have seen, like, it's a bit of a trend to wear Realtree camo right now. I absolutely love camouflage and have loved camouflage for quite a while. So it actually makes me a little excited that I get to talk about this. But let's talk about where camouflage comes from and show you guys some camouflage stuff that I own. So I haven't done like a history type video in quite a while, and I really love doing these types of videos, so let me know if you guys enjoy these in the comments down below. But where does camo come from? Well, camo initially, or its purpose, was to make sure that your overall silhouette is completely like hidden into the background of whatever it is that you're doing or where you are at. I don't know if you guys have played Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which I think is actually getting a re-release or remaster sometime soon, which I hope I can play that because I absolutely love that game, one of my favorite games of all time. But in that game, when you're playing, you get to switch out the types of camouflage or uniforms that you are wearing. And in the top right corner of the screen, there is like an incognito meter that gives you a percentage on how likely it is you are to be spotted based on what you are wearing and in comparison to what the background of that stage is. And I think that is the coolest dynamic or mechanic in a video game in a very, very long time. It has stuck with me ever since like I was a kid, and that is so dope. More games need to do things like that. So the development of camouflage was bred out of necessity because of the various conflicts that have happened throughout history in the various places of the world. Places and wars are fought in areas that have completely different environments, and for soldiers to be better hidden and concealed, camouflage was required so that they don't stick out like a sore thumb. A soldier's battle dress uniform, or BDUs as sometimes they are called, have developed and advanced just as much as the weapons that they use to fight these conflicts. Now, I will put a little bit of a warning at this point in the video because there are some places that do not allow you to wear camouflage. If you are going to the Bahamas, they don't allow you to wear camouflage because of its association with militancy, and some places in the Middle East also don't allow you to wear camouflage outside of unless that is your uniform. So be very careful where you decide to wear camouflage, but moving on. As far back as 54 BC, Julius Caesar and his military or army was actually using an early form of camouflage, making sure that their ships had the appropriate color to make them blend in and so that they can collect intel on whoever it is that they were against. Now, going from talking about like 54 BC all the way to like the 1900s or something like that, where they went away from dressing their soldiers in uniforms like red coats are a very like iconic representation of like military uniforms centuries ago, but that's when they kind of decided to pivot away from like posh uniforms and into more utilitarian function based clothing. British soldiers present in India in the 1840s and 50s was an early example of the British uniforms changing and adopting a more earthly tones, and that's when they adopted the term drab or khaki. Well, khaki in Urdu means dusty or soil colored, which made soldiers blend in better with their immediate environment, which was essential for as firearms technology improved vastly and could shoot longer ranges. So you definitely wanted to be concealed at least at a distance. Like, imagine you are in a situation where you're in the middle of a desert and you're there and someone is trying to spot you. Well, they can definitely spot you real easy if you're wearing like these posh like red coats or anything that doesn't blend into the immediate like sand brown of the desert. So camouflage is actually, it stems from a French word. It means to conceal. Actually, hold on, let me confirm that. All right, Google approved. It means to hide or to conceal. Jumping ahead again into, say, the era of World War I, where they started using planes to fight and tanks and all these things. Now, buildings, vehicles, soldiers, everything was then now made to be more camouflaged so that planes, I mean, for buildings, so planes can't see it when they're looking down. For tanks, yeah, so planes can't attack them as they are looking down at the ground, and soldiers so that they are a little bit safer. I mean, it's not, obviously, war is like never actually safe, but it is their attempt at trying to blend in with their surroundings. So enough about war, let's talk about specifically camouflage itself. Now camouflage actually camouflage artists were inspired by different genres of art like Fauve, Impressionism, Cubism, other things that I can't think of right now, but again, with the intention in mind that you want to obscure the overall silhouette so that it blends into the background of whatever or wherever you are. The first country to develop and dedicate an entire department to the development of camouflage was the French in 1915. Very shortly after the French dedicated an entire department to that, many other countries followed suit, and by the time World War II rolled around, every single country had their own like unique to them camouflage, which was helpful on the battlefield while also being able to distinguish where a soldier was from by what camo they were wearing. Now let's talk about civilians, everyday people wearing camouflage. Well, around the 1960s, military surplus gear was very widely available and actually very cheap. So many people in the 1960s, in the era of the Vietnam War, wore a lot of military clothing in direct opposition to protest against the Vietnam War. And even designers, a lot of them take a lot of inspiration from military clothing. The first one that comes to mind is Rick Owens. I once heard saying in an interview that he would wear and buy military surplus clothing, use that to diet and stuff like that. And so military clothing and camouflage have been employed by civilians for quite a while now. The presence of camouflage in everyday urban use is actually very paradoxical in nature. Camouflage was initially, like I had said many times before this, made to conceal you, made to hide you. However, in the setting of a regular, just everyday situation, it becomes one of the loudest, most in-your-face patterns that you can wear, and it makes for a great statement piece. Now, I don't personally own any like Realtree camo because, wait, no, that's a lie. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So this right here is basically like a hooded poncho or hoodie type of thing going on. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about Realtree camo. And in certain nature environments, you literally can't see my torso. So just really quickly going over a couple of things that I own in various different types of camo. This one right here is a nice classic one, a just cropped t-shirt in a woodland camo, oversized cropped white tee a snow camo. This one's a more desert focused type of camouflage. This one I don't wear that much because the tone is very similar to my skin, and it looks very strange to have a shirt on that also looks like you have patchy camouflage skin. This one is kind of like a military parka in this digi camo. And then we have this vintage BDU shirt in a rain camo. As you can see, it has these like little hash marks on there. Texture makes it really cool. That's not all the camouflage I own, but that is a good like majority of it. My favorite types of camouflage are like classical, like woodland camos, snow camos. I do like digi camo as well, and I also really like Flecktarn, which I believe comes from Germany. There are a lot of brands and luxury brands that also use camouflage, but also have their own like versions of camouflage as well. Sometimes they make their own camouflage patterns, which I think is really cool. Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, Marc Jacobs, Comme des Garçons, Dolce & Gabbana, and of course, probably the one that is like most synonymous with camo, Bape. Bape camo is iconic. If I had any like suggestions for styling in terms of wearing camouflage out in public, I would definitely say, one, make sure it's cool to wear camo out in public because, like I said earlier, Bahamas, Middle East, don't do it there. And secondly, that camouflage is a very bold pattern, so it can very easily clash with other patterns, so the rest of the outfit should be pretty neutral just to kind of allow the camouflage to shine. I am curious, are you guys a fan of camo? Are you tired of the Realtree camo trend? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate your guys' time. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.